So let me start from where I left, right? Uh, I gave the heading because while I was writing, I was thinking about acting. And when we do the real life communication, when we do the actual conversations in real lives, you will see that there is an element of performance in that too. In those conversations, you will see there is an element of performance. The way we are using our voice, our voice, the way you are using your verbal communication, the words, the way you are using the non-verbal communication, your gestures, your body language, whatever you want to use, overall feeling, ultimately you are communicating. So it is a big part of communication when you are meeting someone, especially if you are meeting a stranger. So how the communication is evolving, so how you are understanding each other, so those things are important. So you can write something regarding that. So you can write a script regarding that. Any one of you can one of you can write a script regarding that, can write a play regarding that, can write a song regarding that. Then one when why, then why are you not able to write something like that? you know a song, a poem. Suppose you are meeting someone. You are not a poet, so-called official poet in the eyes of the society. You are not that. But you are meeting a person. You are just writing a poem for her or for him. You're writing a song for that person. Can you do that? Or like a sketch, or like a painting you can do sometimes. So what is the problem with it? Have you ever asked this question? You don't have to be a professional artist, because the society will give you the level. You are an artist. They are labeling you as an artist. They are labeling you as a singer. They are labeling you as a writer. Then only you have the opportunity to become a writer or a painter or a singer, whatever be the thing. Have you ever figured it out that you loved singing? You could have made a profession out of it. And if you could have chosen a profession of singing or drawing or painting or teaching, whatever you want to choose, you wouldn't even ask the question of retirement, because you have so much to give. You have so much to do. You have so much to give. You have so much to do. You don't have to think about retirement. Have you ever asked this question? Why? The problem is the society has been shaped in many ways. Now, I will ask you a few questions at the end of this session, but you can figure it out yourself. Often we are hanging out with friends, we are doing the conversation, and you will see we are using the rasas. In Natasasra we call the rasas. There are 9 rasas. Kokono haschi, kokono kachi, there is anger. We are using different emotions. Sometimes we are making fun of it because the emotion is a bit excess, and we could have reduced the emotion. Sometimes we are stoic, and sometimes making people are some other people are making fun of us because we are stoic. We have gone through those experiences, right? When you write a script, is it something from the planet other than the earth? Is it like that? Some planet that is something no one knows about, and you're writing about that planet. You can write about that too, a great science fiction maybe. But when you are dealing with people, you are going through the life experiences. Why do we write these stories, novels, scripts? Human interaction. Then if you know the craft of writing, because no, I believe no one can teach you writing. You feel like writing. You are reading a lot of books, you are watching a lot of movies, you are enjoying the human interaction, you are enjoying the human conflict. Suddenly you think that I can write something. It can be a poem, it can be a song, it can be anything. I can contribute, I can write something. Maybe I'm not doing it for money, maybe I'm not doing it for a profession, but I can write something just for the sake of love. I love writing, I love these uh, humanity, human interactions, human conflicts, what else? Human emotions, human feelings. I have gone through that myself, so I can relate to that character. Or maybe I will be creating a character, people will be able to relate to it. That is how we write stories. right? Conflicts, scenes, sequences, stories, conflicts. So what is the problem? The problem is lack of ecosystem, lack of quality professionals, lack of training, lack of realization, lack of respecting that feeling and emotion. Or there is another lack, or maybe there is another thing. This is the norm. This is what this is, a mold. You cannot go beyond that. In the last part one, I talked about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. Some people are telling you, let go. And they are the first ones, maybe behind the back, to tell you, you should not have freedom of expression. You should not tell this. You should not tell that. You should not have the freedom of speech. You should not respect freedom of speech. But when it comes to marketing or public relations, they are the ones coming to the audience. They are talking about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, congruence, and that thing, that gap. You want to do something to please the audience. You don't want to do that. That's why it is not reflected in your work. It is only bits and pieces in your words or talks, but actually you don't feel something good about it. Then how can you talk about it? How can you train someone? That person will be trained in a wrong way, and that person will suffer. Maybe that person was not supposed to suffer in that same way. He or she could have taken another path, but since you're forcing him or her to take one particular path, that person is suffering. These things we are facing in the culture, in Indian culture nowadays, especially when it comes to arts, media, entertainment. I think now compassion and empathy, humility, these values are seen in weakness. You know? Especially if you're doing art and media and entertainment, always you have to project a toxic sense of masculinity. That is not even artsy. That is not even something which can evoke an emotion, a feeling, because that can be a part of a great story, and you can do that. But you have to project a inferior, toxic masculinity, and people are shaped by that. You are not even realizing that your very existence in this world can call for a great exploration. You can explore different cultures, you can explore different human interactions, food. You can look at people, you can interact with people, you can be friends with people. You can learn so much from each other. You know, you can contribute to different cultures. Those cultures can contribute to your own culture. You can have a great life. Together, we can shape humanity in a better way. Some people are robbing you from that confidence too, so that you stay like this. But when it comes to talking to the public or to create some public relations, they are saying this and that. So sometimes you call it hypocrisy, sometimes you call it phony things, superficial things. You can call it anything, but you understand that there is something wrong. And you can make it right. The moment you think you can make it right, you will write a script. You will go to a pitching session and they will tell you this is not the right script. Why? Because you have deviated from that hypocrisy. You have deviated from that superfluous or superficial thing. That is what they don't like. That's why the detour is not actually a detour. Rather, you are actually going to the right path, and they have taken a different path, and that is a detour. If you follow them, which they will tell you to, they will tell you to follow them, and by following that path, you will go through a detour. What kind of detour? Maybe for professional experiences, once in a while you can do that. For money, you can do that. But you will see, if you are really engrossed in that experience, involved in that experience, you will see that that detour will be something you quite not like. And then these very people or similar kinds of people, or you will see the microcosm and macrocosm, you will see the variations of those people in the society. They will play all those tricks and techniques, maybe learn from these people only, because they are following those people, and they together are trying to create this ecosystem or maintain this ecosystem where Detour is the norm. What is the detour? Your own self, your highest self, your best self. And you can express yourself in different ways. You can explore yourself in so many ways, so many things you can do in life. And they are keeping you in that norm or in that mold if you are just doing it for money for a long time. Then too, as I mentioned in the first part, then too, maybe after 60, maybe after 70, suddenly you think, I have done this work for a long time. Now I really want to do something different, innovative, creative, whatever you call it. You can do that too. But the burden of that work, you have done this crap for so many years, that can be really very heavy. It can be. It can drag you down. It can pull you back. It can take you backward. It can make you stagnant. It can make you regressive. And there will be a lot of tricks, especially if it is the norm in the culture. Tricks and techniques only to drag you down. So the inertia should be more. The push should be more. Your passion, your love, your enthusiasm should be more. When you are making a mark, or maybe you are writing a book, you can start with writing a book. It's a great way to reach the audience. You will see that by reading that book or by watching your work, people will get that verbally, using through the words, and your feelings, your genuine intent behind it. They will get it if you are genuine, because it will be very cohesive, congruent and cohesive. That can call for a great performance. That can be a great performance, and you can make a lot of money out of it, right? Because people may be conditioned like that in one particular culture, but if you look at the global market, when you are touching the universal humanity or the global humanity, that will not work. That is only working in a particular culture because they are conditioned in that. So you take your step out. You take the right step. You don't take the detour, that different path. You figure it out yourself. You do your stuff. That will be recognized universally in different cultures. That is how we communicate in a global manner. So India will be this, India will be that, this will be that, this will be that. I'm not talking about those words. Rather, you feel that thing genuinely. When you communicate, people will get it. Some people will be afraid of it, but you will communicate and you will be great friends, great buddies, great partners, great business relationships, anything. They will relate to it. That is what I'm talking about. Why should you retire? You can do that for the entire life. The more you contribute, your sense of being, your sense of contribution, your sense of doing something great for the nation, for the world, for humanity, it will only make you better and better. You will want to do more because it's like a feeling of abundance. Why should you limit yourself? So that's why side job, main job, doing this, keeping it as a side business, side job, those things, those narratives, when you come to You Can Achieve, you can throw those narratives away. You can do something for money for a while, and during the transition phase you can come to You Can Achieve and you can learn the things, because you are doing that for money, and during the transition phase you are doing it uh, to learn the things, which maybe you could have taken 6 or 7 years to learn these things. You're learning it here. Then you take your leap of faith. You can do that. But if you are doing it genuinely, you will see the moment you start listening to my talks, you will see that now I have to do it. This is the right time I should do it. Then maybe together we can form an ecosystem, which we have to. Many more players will join. But if you think that I will follow that path, I will take the path of conformity, then you should not talk about it. That I am different, I wanted to do something different, I want to do something different. Practice what you preach, lead by example. If you really want to do it, maybe you have to go through a lot of sacrifices, but you are doing it for something really bigger. So your work will be like that. It will be reflected in your work, the way you talk, and people will get it across the world. So that is what, so the thing that no one tells you about acting is that or any performance, that it's subconscious influence over the audience or on the audience. We see the fake acting through a fake personality, and you learn to recognize that something we can call love. So that is the only way you can define love. It can be. And you don't know that there are other facets of that personality, the person who is actually acting. I mean, that can be one part of love, can be a great thing. It can be your personal preference, but that is not the only way. You can find love in different ways, and you can write stories on that, those experiences, but those people will be hating those experiences. I'm coming to that. So blindly following them, you gradually become like them, right? So the material things they can buy with money and wealth can keep the gap, because they are the celebrity, they are keeping the status and all that thing, so that they are keeping the gap. That's quite fine. You have to maintain those things since you are a celebrity. I always vouch for it. I have always vouched for it. And people should earn your time, people should earn your respect. You should not give it just like that. I haven't given just like that. Only sometimes, why you make the mistake in India. Now the people will make lesser mistakes, I think, but because of the brand of India. We do it for the brand of India, not for few particular people. Because when I wanted to contribute to cinema, it was because of the brand India, or for the country. We could have uh, told great stories based on the myths or maybe our own experiences in the culture. But people don't want you to tell those stories. They don't even understand. That is the most important thing. And you don't feel like talking to them, because the casting, you won't like the casting. They will be telling you to take particular people just because of the name. Otherwise it won't be uh, a hit, and so and so forth. But eventually you will see we are lacking storytelling. So if you are uh, very demanding in your storytelling or in your artistic pursuit, then you won't be working with those people. So you're wasting your time. Rather, you choose to do your own thing, and you take your own path, and eventually you can work with them. But I won't prefer, or I won't suggest. But if you think you can do. That's your own choice. But the things I have talked about, you can learn a lot from that. The story will demand that. So the gap can give you a lot of frustration and depression, but you can choose not to follow. So that's what, you can take your own path. You can choose not to follow. You don't have to follow. Some people are begging you to follow. You don't have to follow, because any person who is beyond that insecurity or that fear, they will do their work and you will follow them automatically. You don't have to this believe in that cringe-worthy shit. You understand what I'm talking about? You have to follow me. You have to follow me. Everyone else is following me. Why aren't you following me? Why aren't you doing this? I am not supposed to give you that explanation. I'm very much content with my own decision, right? So that is the ground you should have. That is the strong ground you should have. You should choose not to follow when you don't want to follow. So this is where the problem is, because they want you to follow a particular path. They hate it when you figure out yourself. They hate it when you find it in another culture or other cultures. They hate it when you realize it yourself, a realization. Maybe you are having a great experience with someone, you are realizing it for yourself. They are after that too. I can tell you that. Maybe they are not speaking about those things in the audience, but actually their actual intent is that. Occasionally you get hints, but I'm telling you that is. I have seen it, in cultures. I have listened to the talks. So it is. So what is the outcome? Outcome is, if they are talking about cinema as a side profession, actually, because actually for many cinema is a side profession. They are not side profession. By that I mean they are not quite passionate about cinema. Cinema is just the word. There is another industry, there is this industry, they are in that. Maybe once they used to do those love stories and all those dramatic stories they used to do, and that too for the directors. But now those crappy content they want to create for few particular purposes. So they know that they are frustrated by not doing enough in the profession, and that will be conveyed by acting performances, by their talks. You will see that if you go beyond the words, you will see there is a lot of frustration and depression. Sometimes they are literally begging, and playing all those games and tricks. So if you really understand it, love it, and realize it for yourself, you feel a certain kind of joy, and no one can take that from you. You have achieved that. So never leave your test because of guilt traps. This is one advice I can give you. Your test, never leave it because of guilt traps. But those so-called critics and trolls, they will bother you if you are doing something different. And it happens, when you are doing something different, you have realized it for yourself. People try to take this, coming to that conformity approach. Whatever they have seen, they will believe in that. If you are fitting in that mold, or if you are conforming to that only, I mean, how long can you do that? Then you think about retirement. When I will retire from this is such a crappy shit. I don't want to do that anymore because I want to retire from this thing. I'm bored with this. you know then you can think about retirement. But each and every day can be something of joy, that joy I talked about, that bliss I talked about. Each and every day, the moment you are waking up, or you are not even going to sleep, 2 or 3 hours you are having sleep because you're driven by that passion of storytelling. And if you have really gone through that path, I know I have, so I can understand. At 2 a.m., 3 a.m. at night, I'm writing songs, I'm writing these poems, because I'm driven by something greater, you know, inspiration. Maybe after a sexual communion, maybe after conversation, or maybe just after introspection. Can be. The moment you think that they are attaching those dirty feelings with it, this and that, they are not open to experiences. So the problem is, it's their mindset, it's their failure. In fact, it's not your failure. You are doing all those things because those things are parts of life. You know how to channelize those things to the artistic form, and that's how we create art. So what is the thing to fear? That is how we create art. That is how we do those performances, how we give those performances, we write, direct those performances. Even for a director, the job is tougher because you have to know a lot more, you have to guide a lot more people, the cast and crew, different artistic sense, different artistic taste, and you have to direct them, and you have to make it happen, because ultimately you are the creative leader of the entire team, and they trust you for that. If you are not non-judgmental or open to experiences, then how can you expect to make that thing the proper thing? You understand what I'm talking about? So these things, the more you realize it for yourself, you are driven by something greater. So the decision you take, so you can solve the problems in a better way. Suppose you are doing a shoot and a problem arises, you haven't gone through the problem before, but you are taking a quick decision because you want to solve that problem. So you will see the creativity, you will see the innovation, and you will solve the problem. So those things. And you get attracted, or you get affected by what you consume. Obviously, as a consumer, you get affected by what you consume. In media, whatever you consume, you get affected by that. So you can belong to any profession, and you can have money too. That is the thing I want to emphasize on. You can belong to any profession and you can have money too, and this is significant, really, but you don't have that satisfaction. Now, in human resources, many people call it job satisfaction. If you go to other industries, especially in acting, in performing arts, people call it that I'm not quite satisfied. I'm looking for a role for all my life. I haven't really got it. So we are always looking for that great directors, great scripts. I can tell you from my own experience. When I took the leap of faith to make movies, Um, I wanted someone to give me a great script. I had written great scripts and I knew that those were great scripts, but still I thought that some professional person will give me would give me a script that I can work on, or I can direct, or maybe we can do it together, or maybe someone else can direct and I can act. No one could write a script. They were always trying to steal the scripts, the research behind the scripts. That is the mindset. It is also their failure. It is not yours failure. It is not yours. But once you know that, the second time you won't do the mistake. So when I am talking about writing, when I'm talking about all this, you know, art direction, cinematography, music, some people are telling me, why are you talking about cinematography? Why are you talking about music? I mean, we are supposed to talk about cinematography. What is cinema without cinematography? It's a visual art. You are talking about the cinematic language. Why shouldn't we talk about cinematography? The first thing we can talk about is something like cinematography. Even in the silent era, we didn't have sound. We started with cinematography. We started with camera. So if you are not talking about cinematography, the craft of cinematography, the science behind it, then how can you expect to build a camera? How can you expect to make a movie which is having that aesthetic, which is having that artistic pursuit? This is the reason we are not making great movies, because we don't talk about it enough. Scarcity mentality, we are just confining ourselves to to these things. One discussion, two discussions we do, and then we cannot discuss anymore. People who cram stuff from other books or maybe other talks, they can do that because they are cramming it once, twice. They cannot do that. If you call me 1,000 times in 1,000 different places to talk about cinematography, I can go and I can talk, maybe in 1,000 ways. But you can relate to the actual stuff if you have really gone through it, if you have stayed in the profession for a long time, if you have loved it for a long time. I will focus more on love in India, because if you talk about the profession, many people don't even know what cinema is. Obviously, we don't know what cinema is. We are always figuring out. But still, that profession thing I won't use loosely in Indian context. So for that love and passion, because you really did your stuff, you evolved, you learned light. It takes a long time for many people to learn light, the scientific aspects, the philosophical aspects, the aesthetics of light. I will talk about it. Maybe very soon we are going to talk about it. Yeah. So now you will talk about, why should we talk about light as art? Why should you talk about art as art? Because it's ultimately a business. I consider it as a business, a huge business, but you think you are spending millions or billions of dollars, right? If you don't understand the art and craft of it, at least a bit of art and craft of it, it won't be pleasing to people. So people will love to see that on screen. They will go to the theaters to have that cinematic experience. So you should know all those things. Now, how much you can use, that is up to you. But you are shaped by those experiences, that knowledge, that wisdom. So that is the thing. Then, depending on the particular context, you are choosing whatever you can use for that particular storytelling purpose. Cinematography, we should talk about. Music, we should talk about. Sound, we should talk about. Art direction, production design, we should talk about. What we can learn from painting, we can talk about. Why do people spend so many, uh, bucks, dollars, pounds in those artistic paintings, or for those artistic paintings? Have you ever figure it out? So that's the thing. So you have to believe in yourself. It starts with you. So you can be your best self, irrespective of the society, irrespective of the matrix. You can be your best self. You can harness your potential yourself. It starts with you. You have to believe in yourself. Even if no one believes in you, you have to believe in yourself. That's how we do things. Then when you have success, you will see many people will flock around you, but you cannot count on them all the time. So if we can solve the problems early in life, we don't have to be stagnant and regressive. Rather, we can go for bigger challenges. We can solve bigger problems, and that's the fun of life. We are um, stretching ourselves. We are having different experiences. Then we are learning from each and everything. Then, whatever you want to do, you are fueled by those experiences. You are getting some wisdom from those experiences. You are loving those experiences. Most importantly, so now no one is telling us, but we want to. That bliss we feel by doing that, by having those experiences, we feel that bliss. And if you experience it yourself, then you can go for different experiences. You can go for higher experiences, whatever you want to call it. But you have to experience. Today you are experiencing this. You know that you are not rejecting it. You are not putting labels on it. You are not having a judgmental attitude towards it. You are just experiencing it just as it is, life as it is. Tomorrow something happens and you embrace that thing. You become a better actor. You become a better artist. The more you are doing with all these molds, all this judgmental attitude, you're confining yourself. Your tools, you're confining your tools to. Rather, you can learn a lot of things, and for an actor, it can be a great set of tools. For a writer, too. So once we can connect to that, that experience, that bliss, whatever you call it, you will feel that abundance. Those mere mortals will call you mad and crazy for it. অনেক সময় আমাদের বলে হ্যাঁ খ্যাপা, mad and crazy person. But maybe you are doing something, you don't feel the need to tell it to other people. You are doing it maybe in a grand level, but when people look at you, you are like having this big hair. You are not thinking about your you are not looking at your grooming. You are not looking at this and that. Rather, you are totally involved in your work, immersed in your work. When people see the work, they want to see the work. Sistine Chapel, Michelangelo. When you look at it, you look at Michelangelo, you will see what this work of art came from a human being. You look at Da Vinci's Mona Lisa. This smile came from a human being. So he had to go through that experience. So why should we stay in denial? We are supposed to have those experiences. The muses will like it, the people will like it. We are doing it for the people only, so that they can have a better experience. You can give them a better experience, and we all enjoy that experience together. Obviously, we have consent for that. That is very important, because in Indian culture, mostly people talk about that, because we are not there yet. Initially, we used to be like that. If you go to the temples, Khajuraho, and all those temples, you will see that no one is talking about pornography, no one is talking about consent and all that stuff. You see the work of art, you get mesmerized. I can challenge you, very people will be able to recreate that art nowadays, because you are not going through that experience. Rather, you are going through denial, that judgmental attitude, this and that. The moment you take that the way it is, you are having a greater experience as an observer. Then you can give better acting performances too. So that's why, India, a great country, great civilization, whatever you call it. So, these mortals, mere mortals, will call you mad and crazy. That's the best they can do, because they cannot do the work. That's the best they can do. But who will do the work? Who can do the work? That is the question you should ask. You will do the work. You can do the work. You can show them a way. Then why should you retire when you have so much to do in your life? What is the question of retirement? Sleep is a luxury. Worry is a luxury. You don't want to invest in. Work becomes bliss. Helping others becomes joyful. And from there, we can make great achievements happen. So this is what I wrote, just a, a while ago. But Nowadays, since I talked about the acting performances, I will talk about in talk about all those things in another session, but you will understand myths and scriptures. Now we can have a lot of talks regarding the myths and scriptures, and there are many talks distorted. So I think I mentioned it. One person can come from another culture, and he or she has gone through the myth or scripture himself or herself. He or she has got it. When I went to a particular artistic place, I could connect to the creator who created that place. I could connect to the great philosophers. I could connect to the nature in a much greater way. But I didn't feel the need to talk about it. Later, even still now, when I see people talking about crappy things, regarding the culture, regarding the person, regarding different people with different creations, and I talked to some of the people, so, and they told me to do a revolution, so we will talk about that in another session. But the thing is, you should understand the problems too. So since we are talking about the problems, we are talking about the things you can work on, the things you can solve. You don't necessarily have to go through the same experiences. You can go through different sets of experiences. You can contribute in a different way, and people will learn from that. The next generation will learn from that too. Maybe I am providing a solution, you can provide another solution, and people are learning from all of those things. So we are working together. You know, we can do a session together. People are learning the mutual communication, the back and forth communication, the dialogue that we are having together. They can learn from that too. So that learning thing, we are learning from each and every culture. We are respecting each and every culture. Um, they are respecting our culture. These are basic things. It should be the basic thing in your education. We don't make a lot of fuss about it. So myths and scriptures, they are getting distorted. So suppose you want to make a movie, uh, an epic, the more you understand it, you can give the audience a greater experience. The literary medium, the cinematic medium, when you are translating it from the literary medium to the cinematic medium, you're adding few things, because maybe because of the contemporary scenario, but you are doing it from a place of love and wisdom. You actually wanted to make a movie, not like making a propaganda or a narrative. You actually wanted to make a movie. When people see that, they could relate to it. We have read it in the paper, we have read it in the books, we have read it in the comics, the pulp comics. Then we are watching it on screen. Quite an experience. The more you understand it, it doesn't matter what background you belong to. When you are making movie, you are making a movie. You came to this profession, you wanted to make a movie because you had a lot of love and passion for filmmaking. I'm just talking about filmmaking and art only, but you can think about any profession. If you really love it, suppose you are in entrepreneurship. Let me talk about entrepreneurship too. You're trying to solve a problem. Maybe you haven't even figured out what business should you be in. Maybe you are taking 1 year off. You're figuring out the problems in the society, the way you can contribute to. You're figuring it out yourself. Talking to people. You're looking at people, asking questions. You're figuring out what is the right thing to do, what is the problem, how you think we can solve the problem. Then you figure out, you do your introspection, you can make a business out of it. Now it's your passion that will help you go through the toughest times. You can belong to any culture, and uh, I don't consider myself a religious person. I don't concern my I don't consider myself as a like person of one particular culture. I don't consider myself. Now you can call me a bad person because of that. I don't give a damn. I am a person of humanity. I can belong to any culture, and I love each and every culture. So, but the humanity I'm talking about, you can go through the toughest times, and that passion and the love will help you. No one will be with you during that time. Even wars, people will tell you that you can go wrong. Maybe your idea itself is very long. You should take another thing. as a profession, you should choose another profession, you should take a different path, because but you believe in that. If you are lucky, you will have few friends who can help you out, maybe in a motivational manner, or maybe in a scientific manner, or maybe giving the industry expertise, maybe giving the work knowledge and professional wisdom, whichever way you want to. That toughest experience, once you have had it, how it is to build a company based on your dreams. We used to have those entrepreneurship stories. Nowadays, though, people are having those fake experiences. They don't even think about doing something, problem solving, going to a path that is not existing. They can create a path so that others can follow, or others can create something else. There are so many ways. What is the question of retirement? Today we are going here, tomorrow we will go there. What is the question of retirement? Today we are making this genre, tomorrow we are making that genre. A movie I'm talking about. Today we are making a movie in this style. Tomorrow we are making today we are making the movie in this style. Tomorrow we are making the movie in another style. What is the question of retirement? Today we are writing a novel, tomorrow we are writing a poem. Today we are writing a poem, tomorrow we are writing a song. Today we are writing a song, tomorrow we are doing a painting. What is the question of retirement? The question comes when you are not living life. The question comes when you are not experiencing life. You're not having those experiences. You're thinking that you should live in a certain way, you should talk in a certain way, you should do this in a certain way, that and this and that. You're not living life. You can try all the different ways, and you can find this way for this situation, that way for that situation. Diverse range of personalities. If someone ignorant is calling you, you have the multiple personality disorder. Nowadays in Indian culture, the problem is like that. If you are very content with acting different roles, there can be a pseudo psychologist who can call you that you are going through multiple personality disorder. Situation is like that bad. But if you know that you have the place of homeostasis, you can play all the different roles and still you can come back to your bliss, your fortitude of bliss, your solitude, bliss of solitude. You can come back to that. And you can be completely content with yourself. You don't need one single extra person. But you can create all those roles, or you can play all those roles with utmost sincerity and passion. Who cares? What is the question of retirement? So that's why, we can find the purpose of life, or we can explore continuously, but it is very important that we have a lot of fun. We live life. So that's why, education. I can talk a lot about education, but one thing I will tell, that you can learn from each and everything, as I have mentioned many times. So life, people, nature, experiences, all these things are teaching you, not the books only, not the institution only. That figure out how you can contribute, especially if it is something that you really love. Your contribution will be stronger. The way you communicate, it will be stronger. The way you do the work, it will be something grand, something great. So who thinks about doing some good stuff when you can do the great stuff? What is the question of retirement? Right? So let's get better and better. Let's move forward. Let's do the innovative stuff. Let's do a lot of creative stuff. Let's build a community where we can share things. Not only the individuals, we can build a community, artistic community. Now again, I will talk about one thing: ecosystem, professionals, artists. We can build our communities. Now whatever I am doing, the reason for creating the community is so that we can do our discussions. For the addas are open, we can do the discussions. Now I have a lot of discussions behind the scenes, with people, uh, with the relevant people. But we can do the live discussions too. People can learn from it, or people can enjoy the discussions. It can be a lot of fun too. But one thing I will emphasize on: writing books. If you can write a book, or if you can write a memoir, you can write that. because people can learn from your experiences, the struggles you went through, the conflicts you went through. Maybe one day some people will make a movie from that, you know, with your permission. So, a great thing. What is the question of retirement? There's no question of retirement. We have so much to do. Life is very short. Thank you so much. Enjoy. We will do the next podcast, YCA podcast on publishing. Then we will go through the normal set of discussions.